Okay, no scheduled guests tonight. Nancy was on vacation, so we won't have any meetings for the last week's meeting. We'll have them both on minutes for tonight and that one for the next meeting. We got the scheduled reports. Frank Kitco.
Okay, you should all have a copy of July's issuance of permits. Down only had 5, but we do have, I think there's 6 or 7 sitting there with incomplete data, so we couldn't process, but we do have them, and I assume there'll be, information will be coming in, and we'll get it taken care of. But and we made some, a lot of them worked with that gentleman that called you, Mike, for, here again, I tried to get him to work with the homeowners association and see if they can, I tried to explain to him that we cannot go on private property and correct the drainage issue, you know, if it's something.
I explained that to him myself in as many possible ways as I could. He didn't seem to accept that answer.
I know, you know, and, but, you know, I said, I think you need, as part of the subdivision, I said, if in fact this basin or pond collects water for the entire subdivision, and the homeowners association should look into having it cleaned out or straightened out if, you know, if you feel. But I said, zoning wise, I cannot do anything, nor can the township as far as the road department. We can't go on private property. And so I don't know, we'll see. I haven't heard anything since he came in. Well, he met with Fred. He actually came in, and I had Fred sit in on the meeting just to make sure that things didn't get hostile, you know, because he had been pretty hostile on the phone on 3 different occasions, you know, and but he was pretty calm and everything. But hopefully, I haven't heard anything since the meeting, so, you know, but I know he did spend some time talking to you, and I know that he's, in the past, I believe he's talked with Emmerich as well, you know. And that's about all I have, but I do have, or you should have there, a copy of what I would consider a supplemental or proposed amendment for you to look over and everything. And if the zoning commission doesn't enact this, I'll pass it to you guys. I would like you, the trustees, to initiate this. And what it deals with electrical vehicle charging stations is one, and the other one is an accessory dwelling unit within an existing unit to try to accommodate, like mother-in-law suites, things like that. Give the zoning department more strength in being able to say, okay, yes, you can have this, but these are the things that you have to comply with. And Jane and I worked on this, and then we worked with Mr. Dietrich on it as well. And he did some research as to some of the other townships around Jog County and so forth have. But I'd like you guys to take a look at it, and that way you can, like I say, if the zoning commission, we've asked the zoning commission to work. When I went some months ago, we talked about this, and I don't know if they've done anything or not, but I've decided, Jane and I decided that we would try to get this with Mr. Dietrich's help and get it to them, and if they don't act on it, then I'm going to ask you gentlemen to act on it. This is something that's been, it's going to come up. These charging stations are going to come up, and we're not prepared at this moment for them.
Well, that's why we brought it up initially. It's you know, just trying to be proactive on this because, yeah, it's inevitable we're going to have to be dealing with them.
Right.
Mike,
so,
I think you were talking about this a year and a half ago. Actually.
Right. Well, I believe it was April, March, according to the I sat in a discussion with the commission in March on this. So, you know.
Right, that's right. And just to follow up on what Frank was saying, I've alerted them that this is coming down the pipe, so the commission knows that This is basically gonna be reviewed by the trustees first. We're, in my discussion with Jane, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Frank, but basically, we're asking for them, if they have any input, they can give that at the next meeting, which is gonna be next Thursday. If they have input, then we'll obviously bring it back to the Board of Trustees. But I kind of let them know that it's really out of their hands at this point, unless they decide to summarily go forward with what they have. So they can offer recommendations on it. I do have a meeting, a phone conference tomorrow with a company that does installations of EV charging facilities. And they have some ideas on how to get grants to put those stations in public properties and other places like that. So I have no idea what this person's gonna tell me, but I have a phone conference with them tomorrow, and I'll let you guys know.
Good. All right.
And the in-law suite thing, or essentially the in-law suite thing, the overview of that would be, it's gonna be something that's allowed minus its own kitchen, correct?
Correct, that's the big, their own cooking facilities, you know, and so forth, and I think we've tried to limit it to a certain number of square feet. I think it's around 800 or something like that at the maximum. Just to, but we do have, you know, there is instances where this is, and we don't want them to necessarily turn into duplexes or anything. So if you take the cooking part of it out, that kind of limits it to, and they have to have an internal entranceway, you know, inside, so some things like that we can do away with, potentially down the road turning into a duplex or multifamily.
Yeah, I think the kitchen aspect, that's the biggest thing. It's once you
Right,
take
well,
that out of.
it's not, it's a red flag for us, and it's a red flag at the building department both, so, you know.
And with the health department as well. 'cause of
Right, it could be, right,
multifamilies
yeah,
and stuff.
yeah, absolutely. So, but, Jane and I came up with it, we talked about it with the commission, and Jane was still involved at that point a little bit, and, we asked Dave to look at it, and Dave was there when we initially brought it up, and so, you know, like I said, we asked him to look at not only us, but Bainbridge, because he works closely with Bainbridge, but what other townships have, and, he came back with a rough draft, and Jane and I looked at it, and then this is a little bit of a final copy that he's recommending, so. Again, like I've always said, zoning is constantly changing, so, you know, we have to somewhat be proactive, because these things are gonna coming down the road, I'm sure. So, that's all I have.
Okay, any questions for Frank?
So where do they want to propose putting these charging stations?
Well, we're not limiting them to where at this point, we just want something in the resolution to allow them, or go have a permit, and then we'll work on whether, you know, whether it's gonna be in the side yard, front yard, rear yard, publicly, you know, those types of things, but until we can allow them in there, you know, we gotta do something, so we're looking at that as well.
General motorist services.
Right, as far as public goes, motor services would be the first one. But like, you know, there's a couple other places it could be, you know, down the road, so. It's something we have to kind of look at and go from there, so.
I just think about our discussion last week about the grid and everything, and
Yeah.
people's air conditioners, and boom,
Oh, yeah.
here's another load you're gonna put on the grid.
Yep.
Everybody at the
Look
same
at California.
And everybody at the same time.
Yep,
Yeah.
look at California.
Yeah, like I said, whether we address it or not, people are still gonna be plugging them into their houses, so.
Yep, well, you can't stop that.
Right.
Right, and that's gonna be well, right now, I'm guessing pretty much everybody around here has got an electric car, is plugging it into their house.
Not me.
Huh?
Not me.
You have an electric car? Yeah, well, I'm saying, people with electric cars.
Yep.
Yeah,
Good.
I think eventually down the road, we may even have to get some guidance from like CEI or something as to, you know, what may be required, you know, I don't know. You know, the only one I'm at all familiar with is over there at Market Square by Walmart. It's the only
Yeah.
one I even know about, but there is one there. You know,
That
and
would be even in home plans, if in general they're gonna be charged at home.
Right, there may be some
I
requirements.
don't know if that's a zoning issue or a building department issue, or,
Right.
I don't know whose issue that would be.
Hmm?
Maybe we need a new department up there.
Maybe, I don't know.
I hope not.
yeah, but you're right, John, that's gonna be another issue, trying to get some information from Dean Haig. Just at the, do you have any possibly on the, have you been like tracking power outages by date?
I'd have to go back and ask my wife, but I can tell you, the one we talked about last week, where we had 2 within a 5-day period, and then last year, it was like sometime in November, it was like
Okay.
every other Sunday, boom, 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 off.
That's what I wanna do, is try to get a hold of our
Yeah.
rep
That's true.
and
Yeah.
see if he can get us like a 3-year history of outages. And not for every place, but we'll just initially for this leg here,
Yeah,
and see if they have any input on, okay, if that's an inordinate amount, what's the cause?
yeah.
Because if, you know, if, on their end, they've gotta send somebody out to repair it, so they have to have some idea of what's going on, where it's tripping, why, and, you know, cause they, they don't wanna put out more people than they have to. That's costing them money. So, I said, the key thing is to find out, you know, is it something in the actual, this portion of the infrastructure that's not able to accommodate the load on that end? And see if there's anything that they have planned, at least in the, you know, for the long term or in the future, for making corrections to it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't own an electric vehicle, but, you know, you start adding additional charging in a home, it could mean that you have to have an increased amount of current
Could be.
coming into the house. I mean, I got 200 amps coming into my house. Summertime, air conditioning's running, who knows what, when you're charging your car in your home?
They're about 30 amps a car.
Yeah.
If you listen to the commercials, your car will be able to charge your house when the power goes out.
You're lucky if you get, what, 70, 80 miles on the car? Yeah, so I think, you know, and I'm an electrical engineer by degree, but I guarantee you, it's gonna pull more current, which means more draw on these lines here.
Yep. I suppose we can banish electric cars in Auburn. What do you think?
Worth a try.
That
Wait till
probably
people
work?
buy these big trucks coming out of Lordstown, that'll be next. Yeah.
Gotta make
Okay.
Nancy give up her electric car.
Lordstown Motors?
Yep.
Really?
Your office administrator has an electric car, that she just purchased.
You have to speak up.
Oh, sorry, Nancy. Okay, office administrator, just bought an electric car, she's crazy about it.
Oh, that's a hybrid.
That's a
Oh, that's a
hybrid.
hybrid.
It is a hybrid,
Uh-huh,
yes. it is.
okay.
It does sound very funny though when she starts it and
No,
backs
it's
it up.
quiet.
It
It's
whirs.
Yeah,
It's whirring sounds. So.
Your Leaf's electric, isn't it?
Yeah,
Sorry?
is that hybrid or?
That's
the
not-
hybrid, no, the hybrid is electric.
Yeah, yours is total electric. So
Total.
it is.
The hybrid we bought caught fire.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yes, I remember. Over on 422 or 480 or somewhere over there on the freeway, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Still on the ground.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I remember you told me that. Yeah.
I'm sticking with the gas truck.
Okay. Emmerich, you're on.
Okay. This is for July 2021. The month of July, we did have a lot of inclement weather. It didn't really slow us down. Primarily, our capital improvement projects were completed, the preparation phase. We moved on to RDRs, which are residential ditch requests, which is a broad thing. We did a lot of dry pipes. We did have James out and the roadside mower mowing for most of the month, and he's doing a really good job. And we did a lot of ditching during the month. What has happened that we're tracking here, last year and this year, everybody's home, they're looking at every little nuance in their ditch and yard and side of there, so we have a really the most calls I've ever taken, and it's not stopping. They're coming in every day. They see a little bump in the ditch or something like that. So I think we've done probably a good couple miles of ditching already and at least 10 or 12 dry pipes ready. I got 2 more dry pipes tomorrow, and I got another 2 or 4 set up after that. So as far as our capital improvement projects, I did have a progress meeting last Thursday with Mr. Nick Morris for our Stafford Road project. According to Eclipse, they feel that we're only about 2 weeks behind on that project. One of the big obstacles with this, if you guys have driven it, we have had 19 utility poles moved, which is pretty much unprecedented in this neck of the woods for them to come and move one. They did move all 19 of them. They are in position. The transmission wires are in place, I believe all the way down to 44. Now we're waiting for communications to jockey their lines over to the utility poles. And then once the remnants of the poles are pulled from the ground, then we'll start the grubbing and clearing, and the excavation will begin then. We are, I believe, running into a point, and we were very frank and honest in that meeting. This is the first time we did discuss, what if we would run into cold weather early into October, early November, what do we do? So these are the things that we're talking about now. Eclipse is confident that they'll finish within a timeline that they gave us. The worst case scenario, I believe, would be a continuation next year of hard service, PJ. I think you and I talked about that. This doesn't impact the funding whatsoever. They would apply for an extension on that. We can continue on. So we'll see when we get down close to the wire where we're at in this project. We'll make a determination at then what's the best course to choose. I think the one thing that all of us agree here, we don't want cold asphalt going on our roads. So, and that's always a challenge.
Are we past electrical shutdowns there? I think so.
They should be passed,
I think
yes.
we're done with that.
Yes.
I've met, talked to
Yeah,
those guys.
undergrounds are all
Yeah.
jockeyed over, everything's taken care of. I had one with Mr. Hartman, his electric company. I did not get an invoice for that yet, but I think there's one left where they actually have to go and do the private property owner's yard itself, lower the conduit that's in the ground there to match up what they have on the pole. So, and I think I handed in a quote for that a couple weeks ago. Bartholomew Road and Leland, PJ and I and Mr. Dick Doris had a meeting, and there's a couple, let's call it imperfections in the asphalt itself. The engineers are aware of what's there. They did stripe it, all the striping's done. If you drive it, you can barely tell that anything's there. There are 2 creases that are in the road that are raised up a little bit. They're gonna come back and grind those. Everything's crack sealed, any scratch or marks crack sealed. The engineers gave us a couple things here. Since they want to deliver the best product possible, we did discuss this, PJ, how do you determine a cost reduction for what we see, which is very little. I mean, you drove with myself. And how do you determine that? And Nick did come up with that we entertain the idea of a warranty maintenance bond, okay? Coupled with, that's a 2-year warranty maintenance bond on any of the areas of concern that the engineers identify. Then we're looking at a 3-year crack seal maintenance program as well. And this is what we have to discuss tonight at the board level. What direction do you guys want to go? Do you want to rip it all out? Do you want to do this, the bond thing? I think you and I discussed it. I think it's not that bad. It's a good job, except for a couple ripples. Let's let them take care of it. I would love to do the 3-year crack seal. We run a lofty crack seal program here. This year I had 41,000 going into it. If that would take that off my hands and, you know, we keep them on that, that'd be great.
You've been on that road?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, and I've seen some work done on state roads that are just any layman could see that there's issues there. To an untrained eye, I don't see much wrong there.
Right.
If you hadn't pointed out, it's this section up near Thorpe and this one section over on westbound lane in a different spot, I would have found it.
Right.
I don't know how you put a monetary value on the imperfections. So I think what Emmerich and Nick worked out is pretty reasonable.
Yeah, I think that sounds like the best alternative. You know, if we can get it maintained for 3 years, and is that maintaining the entire road or?
2 on maintenance on the identified areas of concern.
Yeah.
Right. But the
3 on
cracks-
3 on crack seal for any cracks that would
On the entire,
open up.
entire length.
Yeah, the entire
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that would be a viable solution. I mean, you know, because right now we can come in there and, have them dig out the 2 potential cracks and then fill it in and have 2 different areas of potential cracking.
Then you got more seams.
You got more seams and now you don't have anybody that's gonna come out and crack seal except us, so.
Right. So I need you to make a motion to go with one of the other, and then I'll report back to the county tomorrow, and then you'll get that in, and then we'll get going, so.
Well, okay, I will make a motion that we go with the enhanced maintenance program, I guess we call that.
2-year maintenance.
2-year and then 3-year crack
Crack
seal as recommended by the engineer's office.
I'll second.
Yeah.
I'll get back to Nick with
Who did that project?
that. Perk was the GC at NES, is their sub. Perk's primarily a concrete, and NES is their asphalt paver. Okay, fiber rock, oh, I'm
So
sorry,
we got a vote, yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Fiber optics, they were run here, I had them in my building down there, PJ. I told you about Adam Hall up there in the scenario that we're faced with.
Yeah,
Down.
they tried to push it through that conduit that comes up from the road there on the west side of the property. If you remember, we've had water issues in there.
Yeah.
There's no pushing the cable through there. It's,
Is the perimeter of the parking lot out through the back okay then? And I'll get a drawing from them and make sure.
they're gonna probably vibrate it in, I assume, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
slit and in, yeah. So
That's the
we're-
only way you're gonna do it.
Yeah, so I
Since
could give them the
overhead.
green light to go ahead and install and we'll come up that way then?
I would
Yeah.
think that's the only way you're gonna get it in.
Yeah, there is no
Less
other way,
overhead.
unless you dig up through the
Mhm.
parking lot and do that, okay. The East Washington vacation documents that I handed you there, the plats, that's preliminary only.
All right, I started working on this with Shane. Mike, in fact, I mentioned, we went to the Township Quarterly, and the engineer mentioned it to us as we were leaving. That,
Right.
a little anomaly showed up in the process of doing this road. When Ladue Reservoir was installed, flooded, there used to be a road that actually you can see a couple of years ago went down through where Bridge Creek was there, which is now the reservoir. And somehow that never got vacated. You know, the new road was installed that makes the 90 and goes north, but the old road going down under the water was never vacated by the township. And I don't know how that happened, and nobody in the engineer's office knows.
Yeah, how many years back this is going on?
62.
60 years, yeah, 60 years.
All right,
So,
that was only like
So
four at the time. And
So I'm requisitioning diving suits so we can maintain the 300 feet that extends out into the lake, please. So yeah, so you have the paperwork there, so.
yeah, so after Shane and I talked about it, Emmerich got on it with Andy Hout, and I guess they've been working on this since they discovered it and waited on our request to, get this going. So that's what's the situation is. It's not that everybody on East Washington is going on vacation. Might have sounded like that for a
so we
second.
might as well just make the motion to vacate now and then just send the documentation.
Well,
to the-
what we want to do, Emmerich, go ahead. You did most all this work. anyway,
Right,
so-
you have a preliminary there in the draft. I didn't peruse the preliminary. The draft is set up to send to Christine, APA, and have her look at that, and also the one that's going to the county. There's 2 of them. So there's a resolution at the county level to vacate and a resolution at the township level. Both of those need to be sent to Chardon. Once we get them back, right here, sign them, and we're good.
So I'm gonna, like you usually say, in your
lawyerly fashion, that let's send them up to the prosecutor's office and see what they say about the language.
Okay,
So,
all right.
that's the situation.
We're vacating the road that's underwater? Is that what we're doing?
There's a little bit that's not, Gene,
Yeah,
you know,
there's-
it's what now has been called the parking lot by the boat dock, by the boat ramp for all these years.
Yeah?
That's our road, that's been ours for all these years.
Yeah, Gene, the point of intersection between Valley and East Washington, from there down to the boathouse and a little under the water, that section.
That's
That's not Ledoux's property?
No.
It's been ours for all these years. Who knew?
Okay. I have two other capital improvement programs that we're doing here that haven't taken off yet. Our crack seal program, like I said, I mentioned earlier, $41,000. It should begin soon. We are on the line striping program with the county. We did allocate $11,000 towards that program this year, and that's to restripe roads where the lines have faded, you know, and on the good roads, the 4 to 7 category in our rating. That's $11,000. That should start, I believe, at the end of August. What they typically do is wait for repairs to be made in the roads, and then they come back and put the lines down. And if, I don't know if you paid attention last year when they did the line striping on it, it looked almost like a new road again, just the stripes itself, so. And that's something that we're gonna include in our 5-year program. We did it last year as well, with $10,000. So we'll continue that as well, as long as they're letting us piggyback with the county, it's easier that way, and it saves us money because of the aggregate and the amount that they're putting down. Okay. ODOT salt contract. This is really surprising. Everything's up in price except salt. So, I don't know how this worked out this way. Looking back at 2019, we were paying $64.30 per ton through the ODOT consortium. Last year in 2020, we were paying $47.97 in the consortium. And that's when Compass took control. If you remember this map, all the yellow is Compass. They got 60, I believe, out of 88 counties. This year, and they underbid by $20 last year. This year, our salt price, 10 years ago, $38.47 a ton. You look at what happened now in response to Compass, Morton and Cargill took over. Compass only has Mercer and Miami County. They went from almost all of Ohio just to 2. So they're playing the money's game, and I think it worked out for us. 38 of 37 is very palatable. Once again, we're going to do the 10% over once we hit our 2,000 mark. Q used to be 20% over of your committed amount, so we'll do the 2,200 tons. So, and right now our dome is full. We're ready. This is last year's salt that we have in there, something we always practice, is keeping our dome full at the beginning of the year. And the one thing that I think that we pride ourselves on here during all the great salt shortages, Auburn never ran out of salt. So we want to keep that going. And let's see. And then Leland Trail as well with Barth. I forgot PG. That's all buttoned up, ready to go. So, all right, and that's it. That's all I got for you guys. Oh, one more thing. We did take delivery of the new truck. So that did come in like 2 weeks ago. So that's
Things a little easier when you start this winter.
yeah, we'll do a little easier.
It should be a mild winter then, that we got.
I hope so.
We
And
list
cheap
it.
salt, the new truck, shouldn't be any
Yeah.
snow at all.
Did we list the old truck?
Mike's listing that now.
Is that listed?
Yeah, the gov deals. So.
Great. Any questions for Emery?
38.47 a ton?
Yes, man.
Yeah, so the truck will be listed then on
Gov deals. Yes.
Okay.
38.47 a ton is what salt's gonna cost us.
Like that? Well, Compass last year was $20 under Morton and Cargill, who pretty much commanded this entire area. And they had almost the entire state of Ohio last year. So I guess in response, Cargill and Morton went under Compass, so it worked out for us.
Yeah.
You know, that salt at one point, Gene, the year of the great salt shortage, 2 years, in 2014, and one was the other one. There's 2 years of salt shortage. Salt was going $100 per ton
Cambridge paid over
on the ground. not delivered, not on the ground, $100 a ton. And that was American Rock Salt, I believe, was asking for that. So.
Okay. EJ, anything to report?
No, I basically worked on this Washington or whatever road that was vacate thing with the engineer's office some, but just one thing to report is one of our alternates on commission had one of those occasions where he listed his house and sold it inside of a week, and therefore he's left the township and left the vacancy here. So historically, we haven't replaced alternates mid-year.
Yeah, there's no sense of trying to get somebody broken
Yeah.
in.
So just so you're aware that we're one short there, and so therefore we'll be looking to fill some spots in January.
Okay.
What board's that on?
Commission alternate, year terms. Yeah, he was a good fella, and you remember, he was the CEI engineer. Yeah. So, good guy, it would have been a good one to have on our commission, but short-lived. So, that's all.
Fred?
I just have a couple of things. The chief and I were talking earlier today as we were going over refining the fire levy budget, and he brought up the fact that he would like to see automatic defibrillators installed in all of our public buildings. So that would include here, the town hall, Adam Hall, and I think it's a really good idea. We've got the ARPA money coming in, and I think that will be obviously more than enough to cover, to have these automatic defibrillators installed. AED, what does that stand for?
Automatic electric defibrillator.
Yeah. So these are the kind of ones where you or I could, if somebody was having a cardiac emergency, one of us could grab this off the wall. It basically has a voice on it that walks you through what you need to do. It says, put this patch here, push this button. It analyzes, you know more about this than I, the details,
So
but
you
it
put the pads on and
analyzes
you push the button, it tells you what to do.
Right.
And the ones that we're kind of looking at was Philips model,
Uh-huh.
which is not one of the cheaper ones, but one of the better ones.
Right.
They'll also give you CPR instructions.
Yeah, so it walks you through the entire process. I personally, I've been trained in CPR and was very much taught the importance of having these in public areas. And I think if we had, at the park was another location, which,
5 locations is what we talked about.
yeah, we would have to determine the best way to securely put one at the park, but the chief suggested that if we have an alarm on there that would go to Gilmore, if that unit is removed, 2 things would happen. One, we would be alerted that the unit was removed. Second, it could possibly alert first responders to respond to that location. So we kind of thought this through. I think it's a good idea, but I just wanted to bring that up for the board. We do not have our ARP money yet. I applied for it a couple of weeks ago. I know that the auditors sent around a spreadsheet a month ago or so saying that we would be getting $600,000 of ARP money, but that's not official until the Office of Budget Management signs off on it. I haven't gotten a report yet, so I can't tell you how much money we'll actually receive until I get that from them.
You got a ballpark on this?
The only thing I've heard is that 600,000 number.
No, I mean on cost for the.
Oh, it'd be about
Yeah.
800 apiece.
I looked at a couple different, how much?
You said about 800 or 900 apiece?
That's for the unit itself.
Right.
I looked at a couple different ways to do it. One is what Fred just mentioned, have Gilmore monitor it. There's another way we could do it. We could buy a box that would have a strobe and an alarm in it. So when the doors open up, the strobe goes off and the alarm sounds, which is pretty loud. Those boxes, they're stainless steel, they're about $300 a piece. You can go with refurb units or you can go with new units. I'd recommend going with the new units, which are about $1,200 to $1,300 a piece.
Yeah.
And they come with an 8-year warranty versus the refurb ones are 4-year warranty.
I think it's a good idea to have it monitored by Gilmore and notification to the fire department at Adam Hall in the park. I'm not sure it's necessary here.
And where were the other two locations?
Town hall and the road garage.
I'd like to see some form of notification on pretty much all of them. If somebody is defibrillating someone, you guys should probably know that. Wherever it be, whether it be here, park, Adam Hall.
Right, so you can't buy the boxes with the switches in them. So,
Yeah, well, if we're gonna do this, I mean, I wanna do it right, I want all new equipment. Like I said, your recommendation for what would be the best piece of equipment. And, get pricing on communication for all.
you'd have to talk to Gilmore and get pricing on what they would charge to hook them up.
Considering the amount of money that should be available to us, I think it's
Yeah, that's
pretty money well
the
spent.
other
It's
point.
pretty much a
No point pitching
no-brainer.
fence right
Yeah,
The other thing I'd recommend too is putting PEEPS pads in for kids. The pads are designed for kids 8 years and under and 55 pounds and under. At least down at the park and Adam Hall, the very least. They're like only $150 for a set of them.
well, I
They
said,
just put them in all of them, you'd be
I
covered.
wanna put them in all. Like I said, it's like, I don't wanna be hand selecting where people can and can't have heart attacks within the township. Or list saying, if you're gonna have a heart attack, this is the best building to have it in, we'll list them downward, it's like, I guess it's gonna kinda be a random thing, so. Yeah, whatever we do for one, I'd like to see it done for all of them.
I think we got Gilmore security in all the buildings but down at the park building. So the question would be, while we're down there and installing them, should we put in a smoke detector system as well as an alarm system?
Can that be hooked up to a cell?
And you can do it through cell phone.
Okay.
You
Yeah, look at that
They got
too.
dual cell phone cards now. But the thing about that is, that should get you a little bit of an insurance break with the tarmac too, having the building monitored.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like I said, we're looking at, things that we can do with this money that are really gonna benefit the township, and I think both of those would help down there, so.
We're talking about putting AEDs in.
now.
The other thing that, and we already mentioned this, was we are being offered through the Ohio Department of Transportation stimulus money for road and bridge projects, and it's a pretty broad venue of things that we could do. We can't install new roads, but we can do resurfacing and anything below that. So it's a $250,000 cap on each project that they're offering, but as long as we can show that there's a need and we would be using it for the proper projects, we can apply for those. There's a scoring system based on the need, the traffic, as far as how much traffic travels that particular road.
I'd like to see that. That sounds like an expansion of PWC. Or is this
It's
through
actually
ODOT?
under the ARP money.
But through what agency? ODOT?
It's through ODOT.
Through ODOT.
So we're talking 250,000 per project, is there
Per
any,
project, but there's no
is there any limitation per
per township.
number of projects?
There is, I believe, a limitation. I don't know exactly. I just got this information today.
I'd like to
So
see that.
I don't
So
know
we can take
exactly
that home.
what it is limited to per township, but it's 250,000. They score it again based on the traffic, the perceived need of the project, and I did send that to you, PJ, by email, but I can print that out for you.
Slam
I
on that.
think I sent it to all of you guys. But it, I think it's something that would be, something we could take advantage of. I don't know what we've got on the project slate for next year, but maybe it's something that we could use for next year. I don't know that we'd be able to get in time for projects we're doing this year, but at least for next year, we probably could.
OPWC scores those projects on per capita income,
Yeah,
some more demographic stuff.
it's very similar, I think.
Proximity to wetland, there's a whole, I think I've given it to you, there's like 3 pages of scoring.
Yeah.
If you take a loan or not,
If you take a loan, you get bonus points.
bonus points, yeah.
Right.
Well, the per capita income of anywhere in Geauga County seems to be
Yeah, we get
kind of a limiting
yeah,
factor.
We get hammered on that. Usually, we come in with the lowest amount of points available there. I think it's
Right.
a 2 through 10 scoring system.
The last thing that I had was, we did get our tax revenue certificate back from the auditor, so I will be driving that up to the Board of Elections tomorrow so that we can get our levy on the ballot.
Okay. So we got everything done on that? Is there anything we have to do yet tonight?
Nope. We are good to go. I just need to get it up there and.
Fred, you might as well take this with you.
Yeah. Feel free to charge mileage, Fred.
I will, definitely.
Oh, I will.
All right. Any public comment?
Yes, there was discussion, and I will speak clearly and loudly for you.
Thank you.
But earlier in the meeting, there was discussion about a commission member leaving mid-year because he sold his house within a week. And no name was given, and I will remind everybody here that our trustee, Mr. Eberly, sold his house back in February, and we come to all the trustee meetings. We haven't seen Mr. Eberly for over a year. He's no longer attending by any means. I think we all need an update on the status of Mr. John Eberly, please.
Well, he's receiving medical treatment. He has an address in the township where he receives his mail. He legally met and attended every meeting that you saw on Zoom when it was legal to do that, when that was part of the revised code. That there were only 3 meetings now out from that protocol being acceptable. He's in the township. He drove Bartholomew Road, post-paving.
Okay, but I think ORC indicates that if there is an absence of more than 90 days from the position of trustee, then there is a requirement that the remaining trustees take some action on that stand. And as everybody knows, there were many meetings where Mr. Everly wasn't here.
Okay,
and
do you
they
understand that he attended via Zoom, which
But
met requirements?
That may be so, but during 2019, there were absences, as well as absences before COVID even started. So I think it does require an explanation.
I think I just explained to you.
Yes,
He's
what?
actually 32 days out from attending a meeting right now.
All right, so are you telling me that he is still collecting a paycheck as a functioning trustee?
Yes,
Okay, that can go on record, is that correct?
that's Fred.
That's
All right.
Yes.
public record.
Okay, and you trustees don't have a problem with that?
I've been in communication with John, so's Mike, so's Emery.
Okay, but I don't hear any reports from Mr. Everly.
Well, you haven't since probably the last meeting in June.
Well, we've seen Mr. Everly when he's been on Zoom. Okay.
Which met the Ohio Revised Code requirement at the time.
All right, yeah, I'm not contesting that. I am saying, though, that it's pretty obvious to a lot of people that he has exceeded the 90-day amount established by ORC in terms of absence. And it does seem to creep, for some of us, for many.
Well, the only thing I can say, Diane, is we did consult with our AP, our assistant prosecutor, and we reviewed the situation with them. And it was made clear to us at the time that as long as he was attending meetings during
Via Zoom.
COVID by Zoom, that was legal and it was appropriate. Once that expired at the end of July,
Okay,
that was no longer an option. Now,
First of July.
now John
Yeah, I think it
has,
was first
from the
week of
1st of July, 90 days to attend a meeting. So my understanding was that he does plan on attending meetings physically within that 90-day period. And that is, as far as I understand, that's lawful and is appropriate under the circumstances.
There is a ORC code that
Correct.
speaks to the 90 days.
Which we addressed that,
Absolutely,
we addressed that with our
absolutely.
assistant
Right.
prosecutor, like Fred just said.
Yeah, okay.
We didn't have to come, none of us had to come to meetings for that entire March through
That's true.
July. We could have done the whole thing via Zoom.
That's true, and in some places they did. But I think the problem was for Mr. Everly, was a longer standing one than just the period during COVID. And I think that's where the largest question has arisen.
Well, he has consistently maintained a residence in Auburn Township. Even though he was in recovery,
Well,
he maintained a residence in Auburn Township. In other words, there was an intention that he would return to his residence in Auburn Township. He currently has a residence with his son, as you very well know.
That is what you
And his
indicated.
intention is to return there. So I don't see any legal issue, in my opinion.
Okay,
Although I am not legal counsel to, nor would I give legal counsel to the township, but that is what we discussed with our assistant prosecutor.
so who will be presenting Mr. Everly's reports in the time period until he physically returns?
Well, it would be up to Mr. Gordon to present the road department reports.
Is that your intention, Mr. Gordon?
That's what I do. That's what I did.
Okay,
that's
so
what I will
you're going
continue to do.
you're going to identify those reports from Mr. Everly as those specifically?
If you,
No, those
if
aren't-
you
that's
look,
not
if you look
necessary.
how Mr. Ebley and I work together, we both play off each other and mirror each other. So anything that we have always done, and you've been here to witness it all, we work together on this. I talked to him last Friday, before every meeting I call him, we go over everything that I need to do, and that whatever directives he gives me, I act upon, so.
All right, thank
He's
you
still,
for that
he's still my
explanation.
liaison to the board, so, and I can't, I have to do my job, so.
Well, it was a topic that I absolutely needed to explore after months and months of hearing comment from a lot of residents in this township and their concerns about not so much legalities as ethics and morality.
Well, and we appreciate that, Diane, it's the issue is, it's not really incumbent upon this board to explain the personal reasons why Mr. Everly is
Oh,
not.
no one is
Especially when they're
asking for
medical, especially
no.
when they're medical.
Well, no, but no one has asked for personal reasons. All I have discussed is the presence, the legal presence, or the illegal lack of presence, and that's all it boils down
Okay,
to.
if you think you're onto something there, you develop a
Uh,
writ of
no,
mandamus and
actually, you
we'll
don't
be
speak
sure
for
to take
me.
action.
I'm
on that.
sorry, you don't speak for me, PJ.
Okay, and you don't speak for the board either.
Well, I didn't speak for the board, I asked a question. And
Okay.
that was the entire reason.
John was in
And-
legal attendance at the meeting
Okay.
on, I believe it was June
All right.
21st.
Okay, I sense a little bit of defensiveness here, but that's up to you guys.
I don't know
Doesn't
where you're
bother
going
me
with
at all.
this. You're making a circular argument.
Not I.
Get your fingers out and count the days. It was end of June.
Oh,
say
you
you're-
know,
you're- You asked a specific question, you got,
We got the
you got the
answer.
answer.
On the other hand, I don't need the extraneous comments to make up for whatever lack of confidence you're feeling right now, and that's up to you, I don't care.
Okay.
I wanted
No
the
extra charge for
answers,
those.
that's all I asked for. Thank you.
Okay, any other public comment? Going once, going twice? Okay, motion to adjourn.
Second.
BJ,
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
I was thinking with all your trials and tribulations, you also would be able to
Thank you, member, for coming in. Casting faith in you win.
I have that on my wall.